Welcome back to Amazing Dinosaurs. Today I'm going to show you everything on these shelves, many of which are actually custom colored Jurassic World figures. Now this is the original figure. This is how it came in box, and I've got these two custom colored Indominus Rexes right next to it. This first one is blue, purple, and orange. It's really crazy looking, not super realistic. But over here, I've got a camo Indominus Rex figure, and I think this one looks a bit more realistic. Plus, check out all that blood in its mouth. It's as if it was just eating too. Next to that, I've got an original Jurassic World Dominion battle damage T-Rex and the custom colored version right next to it. The original coloring is like this bright orange color. It has some gray along the top, and of course the battle damage on the side. And the custom colored one looks totally different. It is a camo T-Rex. It's got bright green, some brown, some tan, and overall it just has a lot more detailing and even a bit more texturing than the original version. Next to that, I've got some smaller dinosaurs. This is the Hammond Collection Baryonyx figure, and next to that is a custom Hammond Collection Spinosaurus. Now these two figures are actually the exact same, but they actually added a custom spine onto this figure. And I really like how they use the classic colors for the Spinosaurus with the red along its back and on its face, and the blue along its spine too. And compare that with the original figure, which has gray along most of its body, and then the dark blue top. The next custom colored figure that I have is this Terran T-Rex, and here is the original coloring for it. You can see that the original version is a bit lighter in color. It has the light brown with the darker brown along the top, and the custom colored version is a lot darker. It has a lot more battle damage than the original version, and I think this version looks totally epic. That is so cool that they added so much battle damage to it. Next up is the Stomp and Escape T-Rex, and this one I actually custom colored personally. The original version is pretty typical in coloring with the light brown and some gray specks along the top, and with the custom colored version I decided to go with a camo green color. It's still got the brown on the top and then the light yellow underbelly, and I wanted to add some sparkling clean teeth on this figure just to make it really pop. And another cool little detail, you notice that this T-Rex has a circular pupil, whereas the custom colored one that I did has a line pupil. Which one do you like more? Let me know in the comments below. Next up, I've got a Triceratops figure. Here is the original coloring. It has the clay red with the brown detailing over its body. And compare that to this one that once again I custom colored. I went for a light gray color. You can see some darker gray along the top and a slight hue of red over its body, and same along its face and the frill. And then I added these bright red horns and then the green eyes. That's pretty cool. I'm pretty proud of that one. And next to that, I've got some more T-Rex figures. These ones are pretty old though. Now here is the original version in the tan coloring. Not too much going on with the color over its body. And let's compare that with the custom colored right next to it. A whole lot brighter with the red and black spots and the bright yellow underbelly, and actually a little bit of battle damage it looks like on its neck. And let's go down to the bottom shelf here. I've got the original Velociraptor blue super colossal figure right here. Compare that with this custom colored Endoraptor figure. You can see that both of them still have the really cool golden eyes. This one, of course, has the blue stripe running down both sides, whereas this one has the gold stripe running down its side, like all the Endoraptors. Let's move to the next shelf. Here is a Atrociraptor figure. I don't have a custom colored version of that yet, but I do have these two custom colored T-Rexes, and in the middle is the original version. This first one on the left was painted a bright blue-gray color. It has some evil red eyes, which is probably one of my favorite eyes, and also its teeth are painted a lot darker too. They're like almost black. Compare that with the original version, which is a typical tooth color. It's got the bright orange skin. And then finally, this other custom colored T-Rex. This one is pretty crazily colored. It looks like it's almost a fire T-Rex. Look at that, all that bright orange, red, and yellow over its body. and it has eyes that do not have a pupil. Alright, so those are all my custom colored super colossal, but I've got more custom colored smaller figures up here. Over here on the left is a classic T-Rex figure. The original painting is, you know, like a normal brown color. It has the dark brown on the top, but the custom coloring really went wild. This T-Rex also looks like a fire T-Rex, which is pretty similar to the super colossal one that I have right here. It also has these streaks of orange and yellow and red all over its body. Next to that are some larger T-Rex figures. I think this one was released for Fallen Kingdom. It is a bright orange T-Rex, and the custom coloring for this one changed it to a camouflage T-Rex. Once again, with all that green, some really cool brown, tan, and black that would really make it blend into the jungle. Up next are one of my only Spinosauruses that I have that are custom colored. Here is the original version. It's from Camp Cretaceous. It has the tan body with the red spine and the red face. And let's compare that to the custom colored version right here. It still has a red face and a red spine, but it's a lot darker in color. Plus the teeth are really dirty, which I like. And like the Hammond Collection Spinosaurus that we saw a moment ago, it also has the blue rings on its spine. And one of my favorite details are the glowing green eyes on the custom colored compared to the orange on the original version. Still looks cool, but I think the bright green looks really cool. On the next shelf here, I've got the Sarcosuchus figures. Here is the original version. It has the dark brown red coloring along the top of its body and some swamp green coloring along the bottom. And let's compare that with the custom colored one that once again I did personally. This one's a bit brighter than the original version. It has some light green on the sides, the dark brown along the top, and a brighter underbelly. And some other differences that you can see are the claws on the original are not painted, whereas I painted the claws there, and the eyes on the original are a bright yellow color, but I decided to go with a more natural white color on this one. Next to that is another one of my crazy custom colored ones. Here is the original. This is a Pyroraptor. It has the red sides with the black legs and tail, and some detailing along its face. And here is the custom colored version. This one is super bright, kind of like this Indominus Rex over here. It's got a super bright red sides, and I decided to go with the blue on the legs and a little bit of blue along the top, and then some bright yellow for those special feathers right there. All in all, it's pretty crazy looking, definitely not realistic, but absolutely different compared to the original version. And over here is the Atrociraptor figures. Here is the original version. It is the white with the brown stripes and the red eyes, and not too much else going on with the color, but let's check out the custom colored version right here. This one is a lot brighter, but I think it might be a little bit more realistic in coloring than this one. It's got the bright yellow underbelly, the darker yellow sides, and the brown on top, and some dark red eyes. That's pretty cool, and I think one of the more realistic looking custom colored figures that I have. And next to that, I've got more huge dinosaur figures. I don't have any custom colored ones for these yet, but this one is actually pretty special. This is the Legacy Collection Spinosaurus. It's pretty hard or pretty expensive to get nowadays. It comes in the dark green coloring, but it still has the bright red spine and the face. Next to that is a huge Pyroraptor figure, and this one is actually battery operated. And you can actually play with and train this dinosaur. Look at that, that's pretty cool. It has a bunch of different roar sound effects. So that's pretty wild. And over here, of course, I've got a big old Giganotosaurus figure in the classic green coloring with the black striping. I've got tons more dinosaurs on display as well. Sadly, none of these are custom colored, but many of these are my newest figures. Back here is my largest Allosaurus figure. It's got the battle damage on the side. And I actually just recently bought this Hammond Collection Ankylosaurus figure. There's also a new Scorpio Venator right there. I've got an Iguanodon figure that came as a set with that Scorpio Venator. Here is the Hammond Collection Ceratosaurus. It of course has the classic red coloring on its face and its neck. And there's a ton of other cool new figures here, like the Amargosaurus figure. There's the Dino Tracker's Endoraptor right here. There's this new Zuniceratops figure that actually has an attack button on its back. And this gigantic Dino Tracker's Stegosaurus. This one actually has two buttons. The first moves its tail up and down, and the button on the other side moves its tail side to side. Moving down a level are more of my newest figures, like this Sinotyrannus figure from the Dino Tracker series. There's the Therizinosaurus, a Sound Surge Endoraptor. Over here is the Epic Attack Dilophosaurus. It's got a button on its side for the sound effects and lights. There's the Epic Attack Carnotaurus way back here, an Eocarcharia, a Megaraptor in the back. Here is the super bright Ichthyovenator dinosaur. There's the Diabloceratops figure, the Hammond Collection Concavenator, a Rajasaurus right here, a Dryptosaurus also in the back, another Iguanodon, and this super bright Atrociraptor dinosaur. Now up on a shelf higher here, I've got some more of my favorite dinosaurs, like this Kronosaurus. This is an aquatic dinosaur. Here is the Tarbosaurus. This is the Kentrosaurus. I believe this winged dinosaur is called a Dimorphodon. There's the Yangchuanosaurus dinosaur in the bright green coloring. Here's a Carcharodontosaurus. This is one of the two different versions that I have. This one is in the dark blue coloring. Also a Cryolophosaurus. I have another version of this as well. And here is a motorized Velociraptor blue figure. To the right of that, I've got some of my Funko Pop figures. Here's a Therizinosaurus, this is a T-Rex, and then a Giganotosaurus. Next to that, I've got some differently colored Monolophosaurus figures. This first one is in the bright orange coloring, then there's the dark green one, and then a dark blue one with some tan coloring along the top. On the shelf, there's also a Camp Cretaceous Ankylosaurus figure. Here is a Parasaurolophus. This one's a pretty small figure. I've got another Pyroraptor figure here. This is a pretty basic version. And next to that, a dinosaur that's much larger, the Sinoceratops. And on this last little shelf that I'm gonna show you in this video, I've got some more smaller dinosaurs. Here is the Amargosaurus. I've got the Carnotaurus figure from Jurassic World Dominion. Here is another Ceratosaurus figure. I think this one might be from Fallen Kingdom. And then quite a few different raptor figures. I've got the Slashin' Raptor right here. It has a spring-loaded torso that you can swing back and forth. Here is the orange Atrociraptor figure with white striping, and then some crazy-looking Velociraptors. This one is red with green stripes. Here is a classic Velociraptor blue figure, and next to that is a bright green Velociraptor basic figure. And for the final dinosaurs, I've got a Herrerasaurus with some green and blue coloring, another Monolophosaurus, but this one has the battle damage on its side, and then finally another super bright and crazy colored Velociraptor. Far right, we've got Carnotaurus Toro with the battle damage right on its nose. Right next to that is my newest super colossal figure. This is the Endoraptor figure, and I love its teeth. I've also got the Atrociraptor figure in the white with brown striping on its body. And over here is a custom colored T-Rex figure. So I believe it used to be an orange T-Rex, and now it's this really cool gray-blue color. Let's move up to the next level where I've got some really cool carnivore figures. There is an Indominus Rex figure right here. I've also got the super rare Spinosaurus with the battle damage right on its side. Let's check that out. You can open up its side right here, and it reveals the ribs that you can also open, and there's, I think it's stomach that you can actually spin around by pressing a button over here. This one was quite expensive to find online. Next to that, I've got the Legacy Collection Spinosaurus, which is also pretty hard to find, although not quite as hard as this one. I've also got the Scorpius Rex down here, a really cool carnivore figure. And here's another Carnotaurus Toro. It also has the battle damage right on its nose. And then a gray Allosaurus here, a yellow Suchomimus figure. And this one looks pretty crazy, kind of similar to a Spinosaurus with the really long snout. And then finally, I've got this huge Pyroraptor figure that's actually battery operated, so it can come to life and it responds to you. Now let's keep moving up to the next level. This is my shelf of all T-Rex figures. Starting over here on the left side is the Hammond Collection T-Rex, one of my favorite, super posable. Here is the Stomp and Escape T-Rex. It has a really cool chomping action. I also have the Jurassic World Dominion T-Rex figure in the dark brown coloring. There's a battle damage T-Rex way in the back here. This, I believe, is the Legacy Collection T-Rex, so it comes in the green coloring. Another one of my favorite T-Rexes. Here is the Terran T-Rex that has a massive tearing action with its mouth. That's a special feature for that one. Here's a smaller light brown T-Rex that has a button at the top of the head for the chomping action. And then at the very end is the epic Roarin' T-Rex from Camp Cretaceous. From the T-Rexes, let's go up a level to some of the smaller figures up here. These are all herbivores on this shelf right here. This first one is a Parasaurolophus. Here's a Stygimoloch. A little one right here is the Minmi character. Over here is a Zunoceratops, one of the earlier versions, as well as one of the balls from the Jurassic World and Camp Cretaceous series. The other herbivores I have on this shelf here is a baby Stegosaurus right here, as well as a baby Nasutoceratops. Look at those tiny little horns right there. And here is another Stygimoloch, but this one is in a dark gray coloring with some purple on its head. And the final two right here, this one is the Calavosaurus figure, quite small and has some yellow coloring on the top of its body. And at the very end is a Pachycephalosaurus figure. And this one actually has a headbutting action when you move the tail. Now that we've done this entire first shelf, let's actually move to the shelf on the left here, and let's check out these super colossal figures. This first figure right here is a custom colored T-Rex, colored to look like a fiery red T-Rex. It's really cool. I've got a custom colored raptor figure here that's actually colored to look like an Endoraptor. You can see the gold stripe running down its side right there. And this one looks a lot like a raptor compared to the officially released version right here. This is the brand new Indoraptor super colossal figure. Of course, I've also got the super colossal Velociraptor Blue. It has the blue stripe running down its side and some really cool looking teeth. And then finally at the bottom of the shelf here, I've got a huge Giganotosaurus figure. This one is pretty different. You can see that when you push it forward, its legs actually stomp and it has some sound effects. Plus, you can lift up the head for a roaring action. All right, now moving up to the next level, I've got some quadrupedal dinosaur figures from Jurassic World here. On the very right here is the Kentrosaurus with the spines on its back and the huge spikes coming out of its shoulders. Next to that, this quadrupedal is a Ouranosaurus figure with some green coloring, and it has a slide lever action right there to move its head and have sound effects too. Up next, I've got an Ankylosaurus figure from Jurassic World Dominion. This figure's pretty cool. I love the bumps and spikes and texturing, and you can use the tail to control the head. Here is a new quadrupedal dinosaur from the Dino Tracker series. This is the Regaloceratops. Comes in a bright yellow coloring. It has some green detailing on the front and on the sides, and overall is just really unique looking. I've also got a Sinoceratops in the back right over here. You can see the differences between the two. This one has a huge front horn, as well as bigger horns on the top of its frill too. Next to that, I've got a huge Pentaceratops figure. This one has one of the largest frills that I've seen, as well as a ton of horns on its face and at the top of its frill too. I've also got a bright blue-green Stegosaurus figure in the back right over here, as well as two baby Brachiosauruses, one gray and one light green. And to finish off the quadrupedal shelf here, I've got the Hammond Collection Triceratops figure. Now let's move up a level to some of my newest figures. Many of these are from the new Dino Tracker series, like this Indominus Rex right over here. This is my newest Indominus Rex, and it is really cool. You can use the tail to open and close the mouth, as well as get some lights inside of its body, so it glows green. That is really cool. There's also the Sinotyrannus figure from the Dino Tracker series with its headpiece. Here is an Irritator. I got this one pretty recently as well. And it has some pretty amazing coloring. Look at that bright green on the top of its head, and then the brown and the dark brown. And here might be one of the newest T-Rexes that I've purchased. This is the 93 Jurassic Park Real Feel T-Rex that they just released. It's got the soft skin all over its body and the classic red coloring. And there are a bunch more from the Dino Tracker series, like this figure. I can't remember the species of this one, so let me know in the comments if you recognize which dinosaur this is. There's also the Eocarcharia back here, and it's got feather texturing all over its body. There's also this Scorpiovinator, but I think this one actually came for Jurassic World Dominion, so it's a little bit older than the rest of these. And I've got the Dino Tracker's Endoraptor figure with the reflective blue and black skin coloring. It's so cool. And here's also the Epic Attack Carnotaurus figure. It's got the unique buttons on its side for the lights and the sound effects. And finally, for this shelf of new figures, I've got the Hammond Collection Ankylosaurus. And this Ankylosaurus has different coloring than all my others, and it's quite more realistic looking too. And now let's move up a level to some of the smaller figures. I've got two Baryonyx figures right here. This first one is the classic coloring with reflective blue on the top of its head. This is a special battle damage edition, so you can see some slashes right there on its leg and on its neck. Over here is the basic edition Spinosaurus with the same coloring as the Legacy Collection Spinosaurus. I've got another Endoraptor here. This one was released for the Fallen Kingdom movie. Over here is a Lego Brachiosaurus figure, so pretty unique and pretty hard to find, I think. And then for the final two dinosaurs on this level is a Concavinator dinosaur with the purple face and then this half spike on its back. And then a Ceratosaurus figure with the classic yellow, gray, and red coloring. Check out that all red face. All right, that was the entirety of the shelf on the left here. So now let's do the shelf on the right over here, and we're gonna start with this Jurassic World Dominion Super Colossal T-Rex. This Super Colossal version is colored very similar to the T-Rex that is smaller sized right here. They both have the dark brown coloring. Next to that Dominion T-Rex, I've got a much older T-Rex. I think this one was custom colored. It's got the camo green coloring and a bunch of battle damage on its side as well, which I think is a really cool feature. I think it'd be really awesome if they came out with a battle damage edition Super Colossal figure. And then also on this shelf is this huge Brachiosaurus dinosaur. This one is actually pretty old. They've come out with a new version of it since then with totally different coloring. Now let's go ahead and move up to the next level here. Here are a bunch of Predator dinosaurs. So let's start over here on the left side. Here is the classic Camp Cretaceous Spinosaurus figure with the tan, brown, and red coloring, and there's a button at the top of its head for the chomping action. I've got another Baryonyx figure down here in the bright green and brown coloring. Way in the back there, kind of hidden, you can see that there's a Velociraptor blue figure. For my other predators, I've got a Carcharodontosaurus figure. Check out those little spikes running down its back, and it has a chomping action as well. Right behind that is another Suchomimus figure, but this one is in the dark blue coloring, so check that out. The next predator on the shelf is a Ceotmicararum figure. This dinosaur has a bunch of blue coloring and dark blue along the top, and a single action button to move the head and chomp the jaw. Right behind that are two Cryolophosaurus figures. This first one, I believe, is a Camp Cretaceous one and is in the yellow coloring. And I've also got the dark blue version as well. but both are identical other than the coloring. Next to that, I've got a Mega Raptor way in the back here, and it actually has a stomping action. And then finally, I've got two more T-Rexes over here. This one is a battle damage orange T-Rex, and then a normal light brown T-Rex. And these are obviously some of the coolest Predator figures out there. All right, now I'm moving up a level. These are a bunch of my custom painted dinosaur figures right here. We'll go ahead and start on the left. Here is a Triceratops figure that I custom painted. It's got the gray body with the darker coloring and detailing along the top. And what I think is a really cool accent are these little red spikes all along its frill too. Next to that is an Atrociraptor figure in bright orange and yellow coloring. It's got the brown detailing along the top of its body and some bright red eyes. Next up, I've got a Spinosaurus figure recolored to look brown with some purple accenting along its frill. And here was one of the first dinosaurs that I colored. This is a Pyroraptor, and it is super bright, not very realistic looking, but it's still a pretty neat figure. But next to that is one of my proudest ones that I've repainted. This is a Stomp and Escape T-Rex, repainted with the brown on top, green on the sides, and a yellow underbelly. Up next, I've got a custom Hammond Collection Spinosaurus figure. It has the classic red on its face and on its spine, and actually was originally a Baryonyx figure. And then behind that, I've got some more T-Rexes. This is a Terran T-Rex, repainted to be a darker brown color and have some battle damage. There's also this camouflage battle damage T-Rex figure. And then next to that, I have a custom painted Sarcosuchus figure in the light green and brown on the top. And even cooler than that is this camo green Indominus Rex figure. And it even has some painted blood on the outside of its mouth and on the inside too. That is really cool. And now let's move up to the smaller shelf up here. These are all of my raptor figures. So we're gonna start way down here. These three right here are Atrociraptor figures. This orange one was one of the first ones I've got, super brightly colored. This Atrociraptor is actually a part of the new Dino Tracker series. And this one right here is actually a battle damage Atrociraptor. So you can see the battle damage right there on its side that you can turn on and off with the click of a button. And then here are a bunch of Velociraptor figures. This one is a slash-in Velociraptor. This one's a spring-loaded one, brightly colored in the red and green. I've got a classic Velociraptor blue figure here. Here's another classic green Velociraptor. Here's a battle damage Velociraptor that came out for Jurassic World Dominion. There's a stalking Velociraptor right here, so it's always crawling along the ground. I've got a gray and bright yellow Velociraptor, a dark green Velociraptor, and then a blue and gold Velociraptor. And the gold on its face is actually a reflective paint. First up is the Camp Cretaceous Extreme Chompin' Spinosaurus. Let's open this up. All right, this is a huge figure. I have a few other Spinosauruses like this one, So the coloring's pretty realistic. It's not too crazy. It's brown on most of its body. It's got the red detailing on the spine, on the face. It's got those orange eyes. Its body is pretty adjustable. You can move the ankles, the legs, the tail, the arms. You can even adjust the neck like that, which is pretty cool. And it's got a button on the top of its head that you can use for chomping. Next up is the Camp Cretaceous Snap Squad Spinosaurus. This is a little one. You can still see that iconic spine right there. Let's open it up. As you can see, most of its limbs are pretty loose, so they actually just dangle there. And that is because you can snap this onto something and then it'll just dangle there. And just like the big Spinosaurus that we saw, this one has those dark orange eyes too. Let's check out our other Snap Squad figures. Next up is the Triceratops from the Snap Squad series. This figure is a dark red, kind of like a maroon color. It's got the yellow eyes and the yellow detailing right on the front. It's got the 3 horns, and just like the other, its legs are dangly, so that when you snap it onto something, its legs will dangle like that. And last but not least, the Snap Squad Carnotaurus, one of my favorite dinosaurs. Let's get this opened up. All right, here it is. This Carnotaurus has a lighter color than most of the Carnotaurus figures I have. You can see it's got a light brown and then dark brown on the top. But like all the other Carnotauruses I have, you can see it's got the battle damage right there on its nose. That's really cool. All right, let's put all these new figures on the shelf. Let's start with the Spinosaurus, right in the dead center of this empty shelf right here. The Spinosauruses are usually pretty hard to balance, but this one's working out. And let's snap these Snap Squad figures right next to the Spinosaurus. Gonna hang the Carnotaurus upside down, right on the shelf. This little Spinosaurus, I think I'll attach to the big one, right on its hand. And the Triceratops, where should we put that one? Ooh, I know. Let's hang it right on the banner right here. Ha, that's actually pretty cool. Let's fill up my shelves with the rest of these Camp Cretaceous figures. Let's start with this Ceratosaurus right here. This is gray and red mostly. You can see it's got some brown detailing on it. And it's got an action button for its jaws. That is really cool. Just put it front and center right next to the Spinosaurus. Here we've got a giant Tyrannosaurus Rex. This is like a brown-orange color. You can see it's got a button on the top to control its jaw. And you can adjust the neck just like the Spinosaurus. And you can also adjust the rest of the limbs too. Let's put this one on this right shelf, right in the center. Next up, a huge Indominus Rex with battle damage on the side. This is the battle damage that you can turn on and off with the button. That is super cool. And still, the rest of the figure is pretty adjustable. You can adjust the legs and the arms and the neck too. And there's the action button on its tail to control its face. Let's put this Indominus Rex right next to the Spinosaurus, right in the middle. There we go. Here is another T-Rex. This T-Rex, when you move the tail, it controls the head. So it looks pretty realistic. This T-Rex is brown in color as well. You can see the browner stripe right along the top of its body and a light underbelly. There we go, 2 T-Rexes side by side. Here is a slightly smaller carnivore. This is the Carnotaurus. And just like the Snap Squad figure that we saw earlier, you can see that battle damage right on its nose. How cool is that? And it's pretty detailed on its body. You can see there's black specks all over its mostly red body with a lighter underbelly. So let's find a place for this on the shelf. Let's go over to this side right here. Put it right next to this Velociraptor. Here's another giant Indominus Rex, but check out the coloring on this. This is totally different than the gray one that we have over there. This is a custom colored one. So it's got blue, purple, orange, and black. plus those green eyes right there. That is really cool. Let's find a spot for this on the shelf. Let's put it on the other side of the Spinosaurus. All right, there it is. This first shelf is looking pretty full already. Check this one out. This is a gray and yellow Allosaurus, I believe. Look at that action button right on its back to control its jaw. This is pretty cool. And it's a fully adjustable body as well. Let's put these right next to the T-Rexes. Here is a T-Rex with a very special feature. With this action button, you can see that it has a tearing action. That is pretty unique. Not that many figures that I have do that. So let's find a place for this right next to the Carnotaurus. Here is an herbivore. This is a Triceratops. It's a red maroon color with brown detailing on the top, and it's got an action button that you can press to roar. Seems like the sound effects aren't really working right now, but this is a pretty detailed figure. Looks like a little discoloration on its leg right there. Or maybe that's intentional. I actually can't tell. Let's put this on this higher up shelf right here. And we've still got a few more T-Rexes in here. This one is a battle damage, just like the Indominus Rex that we saw earlier. And press the button to turn the battle damage on and off. And this T-Rex is fully posable, so when you open its mouth, it actually stays open. You don't have to press a button. Let's put this right next to this other Terran T-Rex right here. There we go, got a little more space. Here is, I believe, another Allosaurus. This Allosaurus, though, is yellow with blue coloring all over its body. You can see that there's two different tones of blue. Got the light blue and the dark blue. Plus, the two action buttons on its back. One to control the jaw, and one to control the arms. Let's put this right next to this other Allosaurus. Alright, looking awesome. Here is a Baryonyx. This has probably one of my favorite colorings of the Baryonyx figures that I have. Two tones of green, got the dark green in the front and the bright green in the back. Got some yellow detailing and some red right next to its eyes. Let's put this right next to the Triceratops up top here. Here's a weird looking dinosaur. This is a Sarcophagus. It's got a dark purple, it's got some orange, got red, and then the rest of its body is like a blue-gray color. You can move all of its legs, and it's pretty adjustable actually, and you can move the tail to control the head. Let's put this right in between the Spinosaurus and the Indominus Rex. Oh, we've got another T-Rex right here. This T-Rex I don't think has battle damage or anything like that, so this is just a normal T-Rex. It's got the button on the top of its head for the roaring action. Let's put this T-Rex right next to the other T-Rexes. Here's an interesting looking herbivore. This is a Kentrosaurus. Check out those huge spikes right along its shoulders, as well as the spikes on its tail, just like a Stegosaurus. And this Kentrosaurus has a sliding action to swing those spikes back and forth. That is really cool. Let's put this right next to the Baryonyx up top right here. Here's another Baryonyx. This one has bright orange detailing right on the top of its head. The rest of its body is brown and a dark gray blue color right along the top. Let's check out this action button too. Let's put it next to these T-Rexes and Carnotaurus right here. This dinosaur, I believe, is an Tyrannosaurus. It's pretty unique in its shape and color. Look at that bright blue right along its mouth. It's got some yellow on its spine, and it's got a light underbelly as well. Plus, this Tyrannosaurus has a slide action. All right, let's find a place for this. Let's put it right next to the Sarcophagus, right up front. Here is another herbivore. This is a Sinoceratops. You can see it looks pretty similar to the Triceratops, but the big difference is in its horns and its face. Plus, it's got an action button on the back to control its head as well. Let's put this Sinoceratops right next to the Kentrosaurus, right up top. Here's another predator. This is a medium-sized figure, and this is the Metriacanthosaurus. It's got the action button on its back to control its jaw, and the rest of its body is like a yellow-green color and darker green along the top. Let's put this right in front of these T-Rexes right over here. Here's another predator. This is an Albertosaurus. This dinosaur has an all-green body with orange detailing right along its back, all the way up to its head. And this figure has the action button on its tail to control its jaw. Next up is a Ceratosaurus with dark green coloring and black detailing along its back. And this Ceratosaurus has the slide action to open and close its jaw in multiple degrees. Let's put this Ceratosaurus right next to the other one, right here. Next up, we've got another mighty Triceratops with a brown body and two tones of blue. You got the dark blue in the back and the light blue in the front. And with this Triceratops, you can actually control the head with the tail. You can twist it back and forth. It's kind of hard to do with one hand, but you can control its head. Put this Triceratops right next to the Sinoceratops. Here's a different looking dinosaur. This is the Suchomimus. It's got a super long and narrow snout. This dinosaur is blue and yellow in color, and it has one action button that you press to control the head. Let's put this Suchomimus next to, you know what? Let's put him on this lower shelf, right next to Godzilla. Over here, we've got a small little one. This is Ankylosaurus bumpy. And as you can see, we've actually got a full-size Ankylosaurus with the same coloring as Bumpy. Let's check both of these out. So Bumpy's pretty small, doesn't have any action buttons, but you can adjust the head and the legs and the tail as well. But the adult one has an action on it. Let's check that out. Just like many of the other figures we've seen, this Ankylosaurus has a slide action on its back. And can you guess what that does? It swings its tail around. That is really cool. Let's put these Ankylosauruses right on the shelf. Check it out, it is another Carnotaurus. This one is more brightly colored than the other ones that we've seen. You can see all those bumps and spikes on its back. It's got the dark brown on the top, and it's like a red-orange on the sides and a gray underbelly. Let's put this Carnotaurus right next to these T-Rexes right over here. This is looking pretty awesome. This is like the carnivore shelf so far. Here we've got another Albertosaurus, but this one has battle damage. You can see it's got the stomach. It's actually pretty squishy. Then you can slide down the ribs and they click in place. And then you can actually cover it up all the way. Let's put this Albertosaurus right next to the other one. Here's another big figure. This is a Stegosaurus with a mostly green body and some brown and tan detailing. That is really cool. Let's put this Stegosaurus next to these Ankylosauruses down here. Alright, we've got even another Allosaurus with the slide action for its jaw. This figure is a dark green color all around its body, and it's got the light tan and red detailing right along its neck, and those red eyes too. Let's put this dinosaur next to this Indominus Rex, right in the front. Here is our last medium-sized dinosaur of the bin. This is a Baryonyx, and it's got green on the belly and sides, and then 2 tones of brown. Got the light brown in the back, and the dark brown in the front, and more light brown right on top of its head, too. Let's put this Baryonyx right next to this Baryonyx over here. All right, that shelf is just about full. Let's go ahead and grab these Velociraptors. Got 1, 2, and 3. Check out the different coloring on these. We've got a bright red and green Velociraptor. We've got a dark gray and yellow Velociraptor. And we've also got a bright orange, yellow, and brown Velociraptor. Let's put all of these Velociraptors together on this front shelf right here. Second one right here. And the third one right here. Right next to the Atrociraptor. Got some interesting looking smaller dinosaurs. I believe this is a Protoceratops. This one is a super light green on its side and the yellow detailing all over its body. Let's put this Protoceratops right here. Next up, we've got a dark red Minmi with spikes all over its top. Let's put this dinosaur right in the front, right in front of the Spinosaurus. Over here, we've got a Zuniceratops. It's got the 2 spikes in the front, and it's got a bright green body with the dark gray-blue coloring on the top, and all in the front, too. Let's put this Zuniceratops right in front of this Triceratops right here. Check out the spikes on this Sauropelta. It's got a bright red body along the top with brown on the bottom. Let's put this Sauropelta right in front of the Indominus Rex. I believe this dinosaur is a Monolophosaurus. This dinosaur has a light brown body with gray detailing on the top and on its feet too. Let's put this dinosaur right up top here next to the Pyroraptor. Here is a winged dinosaur with battle damage on its wing. That's interesting. This, I believe, is a Pteranodon. Let's put this Pteranodon on top of the Indominus Rex. I think it'll rest there really good. Just a few more dinosaurs left. This is a Tanystropheus. This dinosaur lives in the water. And this figure has an action. When you pull down on the tail, it moves its neck up and down. Let's put this dinosaur way over here next to the Triceratops. Here is another winged dinosaur. This is a Dimorphodon. This dinosaur has a shorter snout compared to the Pteranodon. And you can see that it's got some dark red or maroon coloring right on the underside of its wings. Let's put this flying dinosaur right up top. This T-Rex right here. Next up, we've got a bright green Dracorex with gray striping along the top of its body. It's got a bunch of horns on its head. You can adjust the neck, the head, the arms, and the legs. I think you can twist the tail too. Let's put this Dracorex right next to this Minmi. Here is a Stygimoloch. This dinosaur is a orange-red color along its body with darker detailing along all of its body. It's got the light underbelly, it's got the horns on its head, and of course the super hard head for headbutting. And our last dinosaur is a Gallimimus. This dinosaur is a light tan along its body. You can see it's got some striping on the top. Plus, it's got an action button to move the legs back and forth for running. Let's put this right next to the Stygimoloch up top here. This first one is actually the Jurassic World Dominion Super Colossal T-Rex. It's got the darker body with the brown and black detailing and the yellow eyes. It's pretty cool. Right next to it, we've got the Atrociraptor figure. This figure is a little bit smaller than the T-Rex, but it has some of that cool striping that you can see in the movie. And right next to it, we've actually got the Super Colossal Velociraptor Blue with the iconic blue stripe and the light green body too. That's pretty cool. And look at all those teeth too. Right next to Velociraptor Blue, we've got Carnotaurus Toro. Check out that battle damage right there on the nose. That's really cool. And it's got the two huge horns on its head and the iconic brown and clay red coloring on its body. Over here on the next lower shelf, I've got all T-Rexes. T-Rexes are obviously some of the most popular Jurassic World figures. This first one is a light blue-gray color. It's got some red eyes and a huge set of teeth. There's also this orange T-Rex right here that I believe came out during the Fallen Kingdom movie, and it's just as big as this one. I've also got a camo Super Colossal T-Rex. This one's a bit older, so it is more fragile, but it also has some battle damage on its side as well. And then the last Super Colossal T-Rex that I have on this shelf is this awesome Fire T-Rex. Check out that coloring that it has on it and those creepy white eyes too. That is so cool. Moving up a level, let's see what other figures I have in my most popular collection. I've got some Atrociraptor figures right here. I've got an orange one, I've got this tan crawling one, I've got two white and brown striped ones right there, and this one is actually a custom colored one that I did pretty recently. You should go check out the video where I painted it if you haven't seen it yet. Next up, we've got some classic Stegosaurus figures of varying colors. I've got a teal one, I've got a green one, and I've got a gray-blue one set up on this shelf right now. And they all look pretty similar in design and their shape. It looks like the coloring is pretty much the biggest difference between them. Then right next to those ones, I've got a few Triceratops figures on this shelf too. This first one is the Hammond collection, so it's pretty cool with the color detailing. Look at how worn those horns are on the front. This one in the back here is actually one that I custom colored. So this one is also in that custom painting video that I did a while back. You should check it out. Right next to the Triceratops, I have the Therizinosaurus figures. I've first got this miniature Therizinosaurus with a little bit less detailing, but then I got this huge one that's got the gray claws, the awesome red stripe on its back, and a few action buttons on it as well. Right next to that, I've got one of the stars of the new Jurassic World Dominion movie. These are the Gigantosauruses. This first one is the Sound Surge Gigantosauros, so it's quite a bit smaller, but it has some pretty cool sound effects. And I've also got this larger one that has a slashing and tearing action using the action buttons on its tail. It's really cool. And moving on to the next shelf, I've got a few Endoraptor figures from the Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom movie. There's this one on the far left that's really posable. I've also got the basic one hidden in the back here. It can move a lot less, but it still looks really cool. And then I've got my largest Endoraptor figure that actually has a few action buttons. It can open and close its jaw, and it can swing its arms back and forth too. Right beside those ferocious predators, I've got more carnivores. These are the Carnotaurus figures. I've got Carnotauruses of all shapes and colors. I've got a small baby looking one. I've also got the dark brown, there's some clay red ones. Also got some others in the back over there too. So I have quite a few Carnotaurus figures. And right next to that, I've got some of my largest Indominus Rex figures. This first Indominus Rex here is the Battle Damage Edition. You can see the slashes on its side that you can turn on and off and reveal the red underneath. I've also got one from the original Jurassic World movie right here. And it actually is pretty rubbery, which is interesting. And I've also got the smaller baby looking Indominus Rex and the classic huge figure right here too. On the next level are some of my coolest T-Rex figures, and you can bet that these are super popular. I've got this gray and brown T-Rex with the button on the top of its head to open and close the jaw. There's also this light brown one that's probably my favorite because you can actually control it using the tail to open and close its mouth and to move its neck around too. It's super realistic looking. I've also got the Hammond Collection T-Rex, which is one of the scariest looking T-Rexes I have, I think because of its eyes. They kind of look like they're glowing almost. And right next to that, I've also got the Jurassic World Dominion T-Rex. So this is one of the newest T-Rexes I have, other than this Hammond Collection T-Rex right here. And right next to these dinosaurs, I've got a big group of Spinosaurus figures. These are one of my favorite species, and I've got quite a few different colors. Looks like I've got 3 colors here, and then I've also got the miniature version that's the same color as this one up here. All these figures are really cool, plus they all have the button on the top of their head to open and close the jaw. That's so cool. Right next to the Spinosauruses, we've got some smaller but still ferocious predators. I've got some Baryonyx figures right here. This one is from the Hammond Collection, and I've also got a few others that are gray, blue in color. I've got a green one right here in the back as well. Right next to those, I've got some of my favorite Allosaurus figures. This first one is green, it's got some red and white on it. There's also a tan and blue one. And my favorite one is this huge Allosaurus figure that I bought pretty recently. This is the Battle Damage edition. So you can actually open up the battle damage on its side and close it back up, which is really cool. Plus, this Allosaurus figure is probably twice the size of these other Allosaurus figures that I have as well. Look at the difference between them. And check it out right next to it. You probably already saw it a little bit. This is a Mosasaurus figure. This figure is ginormous. It has a huge jaw that you can open and close, and you can adjust the flippers as well. Plus, it's got some pretty cool coloring as well. It's dark blue, but it has these white specks all over it, just to give it a bit more texture. And it's super bumpy on the top of its back too. It's got all these ridges all along it, which looks really cool. All right, moving on to the top shelf. Over here, we've got a few Ceratosaurus figures. All these figures are pretty small compared to T-Rexes and stuff like that, but they're still pretty cool, and they're pretty different with their coloring. This one's a super bright red. I've got this brown one, and I've got a gray and red one in the back way over there. But an even bigger predator from Jurassic World is the Scorpius Rex. I've got 2 types on the shelf right here. This first one is the larger figure, and it has 2 action buttons, one for the arms and one for the jaw. And I've also got this smaller one that's like a dark green color. This one doesn't have any action buttons, but it is still super posable. You can move its arms and its elbows and its legs. It's really cool how you can pose it in all different ways. Right next to that, I've got a few Ankylosaurus figures, all with different coloring. Check that out. I've got a clay red one, I've got a brown one, I've got a yellow one, and they all have those super long spikes on the sides, and then the shorter spikes along the top of their shell. And over here, I've got a couple Dimetrodon figures. I bet you recognize these from the Jurassic World Dominion movie. This figure on the right here is actually an extreme battle damage, just like the Indominus Rex that we saw at the bottom. You can turn it on and off, just like that. Really cool, and I love the color difference between these. Although they're pretty similar, I like that it's a little bit different. On the next shelf over here, I've got a big collection of Velociraptors. But this isn't even all of the Velociraptors that I own. I own so many, but some of these are some of the coolest, I think. I've got the Amber Collection Velociraptor Blue right here. I've got a bunch more smaller ones of different colors. There's a brown, a red, some green ones. Here's another Amber Collection Velociraptor and a smaller version of Velociraptor Blue at the very end. Right next to that, we've got another star of the Jurassic World Dominion movie. These are the Pyroraptors. I've got 2 right here that are pretty similar looking, but this one actually has battle damage on the side that you can turn on and off. It's pretty small, but you can see that red click back and forth, which is a really cool feature. And then there's also this giant Pyroraptor. It's a basic figure, so it can't do too much. Its jaw doesn't open or close or anything like that. But it is a whole lot bigger than these other figures, which is really cool. And finally, over here, we've got some awesome Dilophosaurus figures of a bunch of different colors. A lot of them are green, but you can see on their frills, they've got some red, some of them have got yellow, some of them got purple. It's really cool. And of course, I've got this huge Dilophosaurus figure right here. It is also a basic figure, just like the Pyroraptor. So you can't open and close the mouth, but you can move the frills, and you can move the legs and the tail as well. Let's get started with one of the craziest looking predators in the bin. This is a custom colored T-Rex figure. It's got fire coloring all over its body. This figure has some pretty awesome designing, and I especially love the eyes on this figure. There's no pupil in this one, so it actually looks a bit more sinister, I think, besides the super fiery color. So let's actually put him right in the middle of this shelf right here. Here is another special T-Rex figure. This is the Hammond Collection figure. It has quite a bit more detailing on its body. They did a better job with the painting, and all the limbs are pretty movable. So this figure is very posable, and we're gonna put it right next to the Fire T-Rex. Back here is another super bright and custom colored T-Rex. This is an Indominus Rex figure, but custom colored with the blue, purple, black, and orange, and the coolest part of all, the green eyes. These Indominus Rex figures are ginormous and are probably some of the largest Predator figures that I have in my entire collection. So let's put this on the middle shelf right here next to the Fire T-Rex. Both custom colored and looking real cool. Next up is a Jurassic World Dominion Battle Damage T-Rex. This is one of the newer figures from Jurassic World Dominion. It has a cooler paint job. You can see some gray and some other interesting detailing all over its body. But of course, it has the iconic battle damage that you can turn on and off with the click of a button. So let's put this right next to our other T-Rexes. Here is another Extreme Battle Damage Predator. This is the Indominus Rex Extreme Battle Damage Edition. You can see that it has all the normal coloring over most of its body, but it's got that super cool Extreme Battle Damage feature on its side that you can turn on and off, just like the T-Rex figure. And this one has sound effects too. All right, let's put this Extreme Battle Damage next to the custom colored Indominus Rex. We've still got quite a few more T-Rexes in here. Check out this green T-Rex. This is the only adult green T-Rex figure that I think I have, other than the one that I custom colored a while back. This T-Rex figure is definitely one of my favorites just because of the uniqueness of the color. It's really cool. And I think we've got a little more space for another T-Rex in the middle shelf here. Let's see if we can get him in. The next T-Rex figure is this orange one. I think this is a little bit of an older figure, so this isn't from Jurassic World Dominion, but it has that same snapping feature with its jaw that you can press the button on its neck for. Let's put this right next to the other orange T-Rex. And another T-Rex figure. This one has a bit more typical coloring. It's got a light brown body with some darker detailing on the top. It also has the same jaw snapping button on the top of its head. This is a great classic looking T-Rex figure. Let's put this on the middle shelf. I think we just have enough space for one more. Also, check it out, I've got two new figures to open up in this video, both from Jurassic World Dominion. This first one is the Kayla Watts and Pyroraptor set. Let's open it up. So first up is the Kayla Watts figure. It's got the blue gloves, the green vest and brown jacket. It looks like it's got some type of torch, or I think that's a shocking baton actually. And then there's the awesome looking Pyroraptor figure. This is the smallest Pyroraptor figure that I have so far. It's got some pretty cool detailing with the coloring. You can see the feathers all along its body, even on its arms there too, a little bit on the top of its head. So let's take these figures and put them on this higher up shelf right up here. The other brand new Jurassic World Dominion figure I have is the Extreme Damage Pyroraptor. I have a few other figures like this one with the battle damage on the side, like the Coelurus. I think I have a raptor with that battle damage. And this Pyroraptor is just as cool. It's got the same iconic coloring for Pyroraptors that you see. It's got the red on the top and the sides. It's got some black all over. It's got pretty good detailing with the feathering. And the coolest part of all, there's the battle damage. Press a button and it flips on and off on both sides. Let's put this figure right next to the other Pyroraptor. Next up, we've got a Tarbosaurus figure. This figure is mostly gray, but it's got some bright red on its neck and its chin, and it's got some pretty cool striping along its side, and of course, all those huge horns running down its spine. Let's put this on the other side of this top shelf up here. Here is the Yangchuanosaurus figure from Jurassic World Dominion. It's got the light green body with some brown detailing. And with this figure, you can actually control its jaw by pressing this button on its tail too. Let's put this Yangchuanosaurus figure right next to the Tarbosaurus. Here I've got a Scorpius Rex figure. This figure is pretty massive, though not quite as large as the T-Rex figures that you see over there. But it's got a pretty cool body. It's got the black detailing, it's got some bumps all over it, and it's got 2 action buttons. The first one operates the arms for slashing, and the second one operates the jaw. Let's put this Scorpius Rex on the lower shelf over here. Here is a Metriacanthosaurus figure with the yellow and green coloring on its body. It's a little bit of a smaller figure, and it has 1 action button on its back to operate the jaw. Let's put this Metriacanthosaurus figure right next to the Parasaurolophus that I already had on the shelf. Looks like I've got a few Sarcophagus figures in here. This first one is a blue color. It's got the purple and red and orange detailing on its body. So let's put this right next to the Scorpius Rex figure. And this second Sarcophagus figure has the green body with the brown coloring on top. Let's put this Sarcophagus right next to the other one. Look at that! We've actually got another Scorpius Rex figure, but this one is a bit different. I think it's a little bit smaller and it has slightly different coloring. You can see that this one's a darker green color instead of just black, and it still has the black top. Check it out, you can see the color difference when you put them right beside each other. So this one is quite a bit lighter, but still really scary looking. This is a Ceratosaurus figure with the dark green and black detailing. This figure has the action slide button on its back, so you can get a bunch of different sound effects and roaring positions too. Let's put this figure right next to the Yangchuanosaurus. Alright, here's another super scary looking predator from Jurassic World. This is the Indoraptor. This figure has the all black body, so it's perfect for sneaking around in the night with that gold stripe down both sides. Plus, this figure is super posable. You can see that you can move its elbows, its arms, all the joints all over. So let's put this Indoraptor right here on the bottom shelf. Here is our first Baryonyx figure of the bin. This Baryonyx has the battle damage on its side. You can see some on the neck and on its leg as well. Plus, it has an action button to activate the jaw. Let's put this Baryonyx right next to the Ceratosaurus up top. Here is another Indominus Rex figure. It's quite a bit different from the other ones that we saw earlier. This one is like a baby Indominus Rex. It's pretty cool. It's got a few features on it too. It's got a button on its nose that you can press to get some sound effects. And you can press down on its tongue to have it eat. Let's put this little Indominus Rex on the very top shelf, right next to this Spinosaurus figure. Here's a weird looking dinosaur. I believe this is this Siamosaurus. This is a newer one from Jurassic World Dominion. It's got a really cool body. It's like colored with some gray and white and mostly dark blue. It's got the red spine and also the red face. And you can open and close the jaw using a button on its tail. Let's put this massive predator on the lowest shelf right down here. Next up is a pretty interesting looking dinosaur. I don't think they make that many of this species. This is the Concavinator. It's got the iconic super big hump on its back. It kind of looks like a horn or something like that. Plus, it actually is an action button to activate the tail swinging. And of course, you've got this huge purple face that looks pretty scary. And we're gonna put this Concavinator right next to the Baryonyx on the top shelf. Looks like we've got some Dilophosaurus figures in here as well. These figures are pretty small in size, but they're both super colorful and colored differently. This bottom one has brown and blue coloring with the white on the frills. And this other one has the green, black, and red and yellow coloring on its frills too. Let's place these in this corner right over here next to the Pyroraptors. Check it out, it's a Dimetrodon figure. This figure also has the extreme battle damage on its side too. How cool is that? Let's see if we can put this Dimetrodon right next to Kilowatts and the Dilophosaurus. Let's see, next up, we've got a Herrerasaurus figure. This one is the light gray-blue color with the white striping on top. Let's put this Herrerasaurus next to the Concavinator. Here's another Herrerasaurus figure. This one has the battle damage on the side that you can open and close.
And we'll put this one right next to the other Herrerasaurus. This looks like it's our first and only Velociraptor of this collection. This one also has the battle damage that you can open and close on the side too. And since this is also a smaller figure, let's put this next to the Herrerasaurus figure. Here are our last two Predator dinosaurs of the bin. These are both baby T-Rex figures. This one is lighter in color and has a pretty small jaw, but it actually has an action button on its tail to activate the jaw. And this second baby T-Rex figure is a darker green color, and it's also got a bandage on its leg and a harness around its mouth too. Plus, I think this one is quite a bit more posable too. So since these are T-Rexes, we gotta put them next to the larger T-Rexes. The first that I'm going to put on the shelf is the Therizinosaurus. This figure is mostly black, but it's got some green and it's got a red stripe down its back. So let's put that on the lower shelf right here. The next one is this huge Giganotosaurus figure. This figure has the iconic soft green color with the black detailing along its back. It's got that huge spine and those really cool looking teeth. And this figure actually has two action buttons. The first is with this button on top that swings the torso back and forth. And the second is a button on the bottom of its tail used for opening and closing its mouth. So let's put that on the right side of the lower shelf. I've also got a smaller Giganotosaurus figure here. This is the Sound Surge Giganotosaurus. So as you'll notice, quite a bit smaller than this one right here. But I'm gonna go ahead and put it right next to the larger one. In the back here, I've got a huge Tyrannosaurus Rex figure. This figure is a lot darker color than a lot of the other T-Rexes that you'll see I have on the shelves over here, but it still has the same awesome button on its tail to control the jaw, and you can use the tail to twist the torso around too. So let's go ahead and put this right next to the Giganotosauruses. Why don't we go ahead and open up these ones that I bought for this video. This first brand new one, I believe is pronounced an Ichthyovenator. Wow, that's a long word. But let's open it up and check it out. Here it is out of the box. It's got a dark green body, but a super bright lime green tail and spine on top of its back. This figure also has an action button that when you press down on its body, it does the chomping action. And it's got some sound effects too. That's pretty cool. Let's go ahead and put this on the higher shelf right up here. Next, I've got the Extreme Damage Allosaurus from Jurassic World Dominion. I'm super excited about this one. I've been waiting to get my hands on this one. This is probably my biggest Allosaurus figure. I have other Allosauruses that are similar colors as this, but none of them have this awesome battle damage on the side. As you can see, you can actually lift the rib cage up to reveal the stomach beneath it, or you can close it all the way to make it not have any battle damage at all. That is super cool. Plus, I believe it has one action button on its back for the jaw. Oh, check out that blue tongue too. That is pretty cool. So let's put this Allosaurus right next to the Therizinosaurus on the lower shelf. Next, I've got the Roar Strikers Sinoceratops. Let's check it out. I do have a few other Sinoceratops figures, but this one has totally different coloring. It's got this super bright yellow tail, the soft green body, the big horn in the front, and those black eyes. I think that's a really unique choice for a dinosaur like this. So let's put this Sinoceratops on the top shelf right there. And last of the new dinosaurs that I'm gonna unbox is this tiny little Therizinosaurus. This is a very small Therizinosaurus figure, but it's still pretty cool. Of course, it's got the iconic huge claws in its hands. You'll notice that it's a dark color, unlike the large ones that are a gray color. But other than that, it has some pretty similar coloring with the larger Therizinosaurus. So why don't we put it right next to the larger one, right there. Next up, we've got the Megaraptor with the red back and the dark blue front. And it's got some white detailing on the tip of its face too. And check out those orange eyes. That's pretty cool. And this figure has an action. It chomps when you press down on its back. So let's put this on the higher shelf right up here. This is a Pyroraptor with the red body and the black legs, tail, and face. It looks pretty evil, I will say. It's got like almost like a mischievous grin on its face almost. I'm gonna put this Pyroraptor right next to the extreme battle damage Allosaurus. This is the Rajasaurus. I've bought this figure really recently. It's got the dark blue body and some lighter detailing on its neck and under its chin too. Let's put this right next to the Therizinosaurus. And I do believe I actually have another Rajasaurus in here. Yep, here it is. This one is brown with some blue detailing on its back and neck. So it is totally different from this other Rajasaurus that we have. But I'm gonna put them side by side. This next Jurassic World Dominion figure is the Ankylosaurus. It's got the clay red body and this super long neck, and you can use the button on its tail to open and close its mouth. Let's put the Ankylosaurus right next to the Sinoceratops. Here we've got two identical Atrociraptor figures, but one is miniature and one is a lot larger. So let's check out this first one. This is a basic figure, so you can't move it too much, and the jaw doesn't open and close, but it still is a great display figure. So let's put this right next to the Megaraptor. And let's take this little Atrociraptor figure and put it right next to the larger one too. Next up is the Yangchuanosaurus with the green body and the brown and red detailing. Let's put this dinosaur right next to this T-Rex here. This is a pretty cool looking dinosaur. This is the Siamosaurus. It's got the red spine and red face, and the rest of its body is a dark blue color. Let's put this dinosaur right next to the Ankylosaurus. This is the Sound Surge Tyrannosaurus Rex. This is a bit smaller of a figure than many T-Rex figures, but it still has some pretty awesome sound effects. Let's go ahead and put this T-Rex actually right next to this other T-Rex. So we need to move this Yangchuanosaurus and put this T-Rex down right in between. Here we have an Iguanodon figure. This figure is tan, dark brown, and it has some lighter detailing on its back, and it has an action when you press down on its body. It moves its neck up and down. Let's put this Iguanodon right next to the Siamosaurus. I've got a Rowdy Roars Atrociraptor. This one is bright orange, so a bit different coloring than the ones that we saw earlier, and it also has some sound effects that come with it too. Let's put this Atrociraptor actually on the very tall shelf. I've got some space up here too. Here is another Rowdy Roars figure. This is the Dilophosaurus figure, and it also comes with sound effects as well. That's pretty cool. Let's go ahead and put this also on the very top shelf. This is the Hammond Collection Baryonyx figure. So it is super posable and a bit more detailed than normal. And it's also got some cool coloring with the gray and the white and the dark blue on top. Let's put this Baryonyx right next to these Atrociraptors. Here is a miniature Carnotaurus figure. It's got the dark green and orange body. That's pretty cool. Let's put this figure right in front of the big Giganotosaurus figure. Let's see if we can fit it in. Right there. Let's see what else we got. We got another Atrociraptor figure. This one is tan with brown striping. So let's go ahead and put this right next to the other Atrociraptors. And I've also got a few extreme battle damage figures in here too. This first one is a Velociraptor with battle damage on the side. Let's put this one right next to the Baryonyx figure. I've also got the extreme battle damage Coeloris figure. Let's put this figure right in front of the Ichthyovenator on this top shelf. And I've also got the extreme battle damage Dimetrodon figure. It's got the light green body and the orange spine. Let's put this figure right in between the Yangchuanosaurus and the Rajasaurus. Next up, I've got the Moros Intrepidus figure with the green body and the orange tail and orange stripe. I'm gonna put this dinosaur right next to the Iguanodon figure. And next is the Miragaia figure. This figure is darker colored. It's got some black and a dark blue-green color in the back. And it's got those huge spikes coming out of its shoulders too. Let's put this figure right next to the extreme battle damage Velociraptor. And last but not least, I've got these 3 super colossal figures. Let's first put this huge Giganotosaurus figure and put him up at the top of the shelf up here. There we go. That is a huge figure. Next, I've got the Atrociraptor with brown striping, and you'll see on this one that there's 2 tones of brown color on it. And I'm gonna take this figure and put it up on the top of this shelf to the left over here. That's pretty cool. So now it's like the Atrociraptor and Giganotosaurus are fighting. And finally, I've got the Tyrannosaurus Rex figure. And I'm gonna put this figure down below on this lower shelf next to these other super colossal figures.
Welcome back to the Amazing Dinosaurs channel. Today, I'm gonna give you a shelf tour of all my dinosaurs that are gonna show up in the Jurassic World Dominion movie. I'm super excited to show you all of these dinosaurs. And look at these, I've actually got some brand new ones that we're gonna unbox first. So let's go ahead and get started. All right, first, let's unbox the Therizinosaurus. This is the sound slashing from the Jurassic World Dominion series. Let's open it up. All right, got it out of the box. Wow, this is a noisy dinosaur. Let's see what it can do. Look at these massive claws in the front. And you can open and close its mouth and adjust its head. Let's see the action moves. If you move the tail. Oh, all right, look at that slashing action. And also there's a button on the tail as well. Let's see what happens when you press that. That is super cool. Wow, this is a super awesome dinosaur. Super ferocious, and with those massive claws, I definitely do not want to be messing with this dinosaur in the wild. Let's move on to our next brand new dinosaur. All right, next up, we've got the massive action Yangchuanosaurus. This is so cool. Let's open it up. All right, so here is the mighty beast. It's mostly green with a little bit of brown on the top. Look at that on the top of its head. That is so cool. That is so detailed. It's got those massive teeth as well. Let's check out the actions that this has got. Ready? There's a button on its tail. Let's try that one first. All right, that controls its mouth, so you can chomp with it. And with the tail, you can actually wiggle it back and forth, and it'll move his head as well. So you can chomp and move its neck at the same time. That is so cool. Watch out, here comes the Yangchuanosaurus. All right, another brand new Jurassic World Dominion toy. This is the Quetzalcoatlus. This is a winged dinosaur. Awesome, let's open it up. All right, here we go. This is a massive winged dinosaur. Let's open up its wings. You ready? Extended and extended. Wow, look at that. That's probably like a foot across. That is huge. And let's check out this button here. If you press it, what happens? All right, it flaps its wings. That is so cool. And there's actually a button on the bottom as well. Look at that. Let's see what happens when you press that. Oh, its mouth opens and closes. And look at the size of this head too. That is a huge beak and a very colorful beak too. All right, now let's check out all these other dinosaurs that I have on my shelf. Let's start way up here up top. Here is a gigantic velociraptor. Look at the size of those claws. Those claws are bigger than my fingers. Look at that. That is huge. And with this toy, you can open and close its mouth. Look at that. That is so ferocious. Right next to it, we've got a, well, what is this? I think this is a Brachiosaurus. That is so cool. Look at the detail to it. That is very neat. Up next, we've got a baby Indominus Rex. Look at this. It's kind of cute, and it's got a ginormous head. You can open its mouth to reveal its tongue. Oh, it's even got a roaring action as well. That is so cool. Look at this. This is a model Spinosaurus. Uh-oh, I think it's missing an arm actually. But look at its mouth. You can open and close its mouth. And check out that spine too. This is a huge dinosaur. But this toy is even bigger. This is the Scorpius Rex. And these toys have a few actions. One of the buttons controls its mouth, and the other controls the claws. That is super cool. Up next on the top shelf, look at this gigantic Carnotaurus. This is one of my favorite giant dinosaurs that I have. And look, it's even got some battle damage right there on its face. And just like the other giant dinosaurs that I have, you can actually fit miniature dinosaurs down its throat, and it actually has a stomach compartment as well. That is so cool. These are one of my favorite dinosaurs for sure. I just love the way they look. Right over here, we've got a mighty Stegosaurus with those huge spikes on its tail. That is so cool, and I love the coloring as well. But watch out, right next to it, a giant Indominus Rex. Watch out! Look at the size of those teeth. Those are huge. And I love the eyes on these as well. These look super sinister. I love these giant dinosaurs. And right beside it, we've got some smaller dinosaurs too. We've got a baby Triceratops right here. We've got Velociraptor Blue. Everyone knows this one. We've got a model Tyrannosaurus Rex. Look at the muscles on the dinosaur. That is massive. And this one has an adjustable mouth as well. Look at all those tiny little teeth. And the last one on the top shelf, a baby Carnotaurus. This dinosaur has two actions. The first is a button up top you can press, and it blinks its eyes. That's kind of cool. And the second action is a button on the bottom of its tail. When you press that, it lunges forward and bites.
Want to see more dino videos? Click the subscribe button now.